Jason Davis on the best soccer show, North American Soccer Network, NASN.TV. Joined now on the phone line by San Jose Earthquakes defender, U.S. International, Clarence Goodson. Hi, Clarence. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you taking a little bit of time. Obviously, right smack dab in the middle of getting the MLS campaign underway. But the Quakes, you guys have only played, 3 games to this point? Had the CONCACAF Champions League, a disappointment there, obviously. But the season doesn't, I can't imagine it's felt like it's gotten really underway yet.
Well, we've definitely been pretty busy. A lot of travel early on in the season is never enjoyable, but certainly as far as the MLS is concerned, we feel like we're very, very early into the season. And in fact, we've only played 3 games, and most teams have played 5 now by this time. So we certainly haven't started as great as we'd like to, but we feel like we have a lot of time to catch up.
Now, you joined the Quakes last year after some good seasons in Scandinavia. And when you joined the Earthquakes, if I got my timing correct, you came in just after Frank Yalla was let go as head coach or decided to leave, whatever the real story is. How did that impact your arrival in San Jose? And I know you went into the Gold Cup immediately after signing as well.
Yeah, I did. It was very interesting timing with Frank leaving. In fact, I was speaking with Frank quite a bit in the lead up to my signing or my potential signing. And, Frank certainly had a big part in me deciding to come here, but full credit to him. Whatever did happen, it's not for me to say, but he gave his full endorsement to Mark Watson and, told me that, I'd be in great hands here and really did a professional job of helping the Quakes, finish the signing with me.
Now, if I have MLS rules, we're always kind of confused as to where things sit. But if I remember correctly, you were taken in the expansion draft. Your rights were taken in the expansion draft by the Quakes before you went to IK Start. So you were always going to be a Quake if you returned to MLS. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So how
with the makeup of the league, that's unless someone else were to trade for my rights, I would have always been in San Jose.
How did that impact the thought process when you decided to leave Brøndby and come back to MLS?
Well, the Quakes made a good push to try and bring me back, and really made me feel wanted, and that certainly had a big part to do with it, I think, as well. The city of San Jose and being in California was a big part of it. I don't think that I would have necessarily come back to the league if it had been a different city, somewhere where I didn't feel I could continue to improve and my family would be happy off the field as well. And so, all those things really came together and made it a good opportunity for myself and my family.
Because we see U.S. internationals sometimes, and when they're considering either coming back or joining MLS, that they have to go through the allocation process, and maybe, I suppose that because you always knew that the Quakes held rights, unless they were traded, as you said, but then you would have gotten that information. Some of these guys might not know exactly who's going to be coming around to get them if they ever decide to come back. Was it always in the back of your mind? Did you remember that it was always going to be the Quakes? Because it's not like you had played there before.
Yeah, well, I certainly knew, with the makeup of the league, of course, and the way that the rules are, that I would be coming back to the Quakes, or someone would have to trade for me if they really wanted me. Which, of course, we've seen those things happen in the past. Of course, probably certainly coming back where Portland has rights and Salt Lake ends up getting him. Different things like that. Those things can happen. But I was always fine coming to San Jose. I was never 100% sure in the last 5 years, when I was in Scandinavia, if I was going to be coming back to MLS or certainly the timeline of those events. So, it was something that was in the back of your mind, but not something that I was actively always thinking about. It wasn't until the last, I would say, year that when the opportunity arose, I really became very much interested in it. And obviously, now I'm extremely happy to be here, and we were able to get the deal done. And And I think we've all benefited from it thus far.
You joined the team in the middle of the season. We already sort of talked about the odd timing. The Gold Cup coming up just after you signed, I imagine made it a little bit more difficult to go from the mentality of I'm going to be a San Jose Earthquake to actually integrating yourself into the team. And we talked about Mark Watson. But now that you're in your starting your first full season with the Earthquakes, what's different? Where is sort of your progression into being comfortable in this setup and playing alongside some guys that you spent last year getting to know?
Well, I think anytime you can have a longer preseason, a longer training camp with your team, that gives you a good opportunity to get to know one another better. Last season when I came in, we were already very much in a position where we had to just about win every game, and it was very much desperation at that point, and we're trying to fix a lot of things on the fly, and there wasn't a lot of room for error. And now with the preseason, we've been able to work on things a little bit more, and at least that's the idea in theory. We've unfortunately, you have me and Wando in the January camp that we're gone for a few weeks, not terrible at all, and then we have some other guys that have been injured in the preseason, and we go into the first 5 games. Maybe we've had, what you would consider our first 11 playing for maybe 2 games of the 5, and that's not perfect. So we're unfortunately still in a little bit of a catch-up phase at this point, but we still had some very good weeks during the training camp where we could have everyone together and really working on things without the pressure of having a game on Saturday or Sunday. And we're hopeful now that everyone is healthy again, that when we can get everybody back on the field, that those things will pay dividends and get us some wins and get us some good points early on, where throughout the more difficult months in the summer and later on in the year, when the body starts to break down and get tired, we won't be in a desperate situation for points, trying to constantly play catch up. I hope that we can put ourselves in a better position, later on in the year.
You just got done with a national team interruption with the USA-Mexico friendly. Now that's in the middle of the week, and you didn't miss any games, and luckily the Quakes were off this past weekend. But in terms of playing in that game in front of that type of crowd, obviously mostly pro-Mexico, but a very strong contingent of U.S. national team fans there, what's that like to play against Mexico on that stage?
It's a lot of fun. It's enjoyable, and it's a very intense game. And anyone that's been a part of that, fully grasp that. And even the fans that have been able to go see the games live and in person, you can see the passion from both sides. And I got to say that this past game was, other than the games in Columbus during World Cup qualifying, where it's just about 100% American crowd, pro-American crowd, this was one of the best ones. And even though it was in a place where people thought maybe we would be heavily outnumbered, I thought that it was a very, very good crowd for us pro-Americans, and certainly we were still a little bit outnumbered, but it was great to see such a wonderful turnout from the American fans, and that really, of course, drives us along and pushes us forward. And I thought that the team played really well for a large portion of that game. Unfortunately, I think there was a few let-ups throughout the 90 minutes, and that cost us goals. And even at that, we had great chances to win the game. In fact, we scored a goal that really speaks for itself. Of course, it was called back, but we all know that was a goal.
As a central defender, you mentioned a couple of let-ups, allow Mexico to get back into that and end up with a draw. Is that something that comes, getting those out of your game and those little mistakes and sort of switching off at the wrong moment, maybe losing a mark on a set piece? Is that stuff that comes with experience from your own development as a player? How do you kind of sort of iron out those wrinkles over time?
Well, you certainly hope that you can learn from past failures or past mistakes and improve over time. I think that, the margin for error in the international level is so much smaller than it is in MLS or other leagues. And, those things, just a small error can become a big mistake and can cost you goals, where maybe in another league or a normal game, those errors, the player trying to capitalize on those mistakes doesn't have quite the quality to score a goal or to finish the chance, whatever it may be. So, those are always difficult at the international level, but I think that over time, hopefully those things will become smaller and you'll learn from those things and you'll become better, and those things won't happen.
Do you feel like the elder statesman when you're playing in a game like that and you've got Omar Gonzalez and Matt Beazer on the field ahead of you, and then you come, or in the camp or in the training, are you the old guy?
I don't know, maybe. I certainly don't feel like the old guy. I still feel like a young guy and feel good, feel fresh. It's funny, they throw out the bibs and they, we're going to play young versus old. It's incredible to me that I'm on the old team, but I guess that's just passage of time. And when it comes to camps, whatever it be, with the Quakes, with Bromby, whoever it may be, you try to, as much as possible, pass along any knowledge that you may have that you think can better the team, better the individual, and help us hopefully get some wins and do a better job, be a more competitive team, be a harder team to play against. And that's something that has been passed down to me on all levels that I played at when I was younger in MLS and when I was on the national team, and a lot of great center backs that I've been able to learn from over the years, and something that I, as much as possible, try to, in the right way, help others with that information as well. I think there's a fine line between, trying to help your teammates and then, giving too much information as well. And sometimes, each player is a little bit differently. Maybe they need something said in a different way, or maybe they just need to be encouraged. And that's the same with everyone. And there's a fine balance, and I think Omar and Matt have both done a very good job, and they've obviously excelled with their club teams, and they're big personalities and big players for their club teams. So maybe those are guys that don't need as much as maybe a younger center back coming up, or whoever it may be. But certainly, I think that we all have a good relationship, and it's one that we're all trying to make this team better, because that's really what it's all about, trying to get the United States to succeed on the international level. And with such a massive tournament of the World Cup coming up in Brazil this summer, that's our goal. We want to do a good job. We want to do well for our country, regardless of who's on the field.
How much does May 12th, which is the day that the 30-man roster is submitted, how much is that in your head on a daily basis? Is it at all?
Well, I think that when there's a tournament like that in the summer, it's always a little bit in the back of your mind. You want to make sure you're doing all the little things right. But the one thing that I've always said is that regardless of what's coming up in the summer, whether it's a Gold Cup or a World Cup or whatever, that shouldn't motivate you more. Of course, it's a massive motivation, but either you're a good pro or you're not. You should always be doing the little things right, regardless, because you want to be the best player you can be. And that's kind of like the icing on the cake. It's great that that's coming up, and we all want to be a part of that. We all want to play, and we all want to succeed and do a great job for our country and for ourselves and our family. But that should be an everyday thing. You should be bringing the level and raising the level and training every single day. And that's really the type of players that we're trying to develop in this country, not someone that's just going to get up for the game on Saturday. We need the players that are driving and making themselves better every single day of the week.
All right, Clarence, I waited until the very end here. I'm going to finish with this, but you are famous for your House Hunters International appearance when you made the move to Copenhagen. Is there going to be a follow-up in San Jose? Are we going to get a sequel?
Well, there could be. It definitely could be. I don't want to say too much, but you never know. So I don't want to cross anything out.
The other thing that is curious for national team fans is we know you as Clarence Goodson, and you were Clay on that show, and I don't know if anybody really understands why you were Clay on that show.
Well, I'm a lot of my teammates since forever have called me Clay.
Okay.
It's easier thing on the field. So that started off in middle school. All my friends call me Clay, and yeah, I've been Clay in just about every club that I've been at. Of course, people call me both things, but
okay.
I guess that's just when you see my name in the brochure, it's Clarence Goodson, so everyone assumes
sure
that's what everyone calls me, but just a nickname.
Gotcha. Again, just one of those things. You watch the show and it's hey, it's a good time. You get to go watch Clay Goodson and his wife pick out an apartment in Copenhagen. Fantastic stuff. Maybe we'll get a repeat with Clarence's move to San Jose. I appreciate your time, Clarence Goodson, defender for the San Jose Earthquakes and the U.S. national team. I appreciate it, man. Let's wrap this one up. Thank you very much to Clarence Goodson. Best soccer show, North American Soccer Network, NASN.TV. Please go to NASN.TV for all your best soccer show needs. I'm Jason Davis. See ya.